Hi everyone, and welcome to my presentation about data visualization and SAP Analytics Cloud. We'll be going today here with an introduction of 5 simple steps of how to start creating dashboards, a bit about understanding your audience, and then my personal tips about what has helped me during this time to start building dashboards. Now a bit about myself. I'm Carolina Martínez. I work at Hilti as a front-end developer. I'm experienced with SAP Analytics Cloud, Salesforce, and Power BI. I'm quite passionate about big data and data visualization. So right now I have worked in a project at Hilti that has released dashboards in SAP Analytics Cloud to more than 6,000 users, have dashboards with more than 200,000 views. So it has been a good experience for me, and I want to share some of the tips that has helped me to create this in an easy way. I will start here with an example. This is a very good comparison to real life of what I've seen about the data. You have all the data here, it's there, but it's not functional, it's not pretty. This is what you can do. At the end, it's not about reinventing the wheel, it's about taking what you already have and make it functional, but at the same time make it pretty, which is a big possibility that we have with the current tools that we have with SAP Analytics Cloud. It's just not about displaying the data, it's about displaying the data in an easy, understandable way. So everyone, when starting this dashboarding or data visualization road, they want to go exactly from the Excel into the cloud. They want to take everything they currently have and they want to display it in a dashboard. But to be honest, we need 5 simple steps. The first step is clean the data. Start small. It's when you start going from an Excel or from the spreadsheet into a data visualization, it's a good opportunity to evaluate the KPIs that you have. Do you still need all of them? Are they some of them that you sometime included, but you don't need it anymore? It's a great opportunity to just clean your data and kind of start again. And classify the layers. Think about which user will be using your dashboard and how will they be using your dashboard. Do they just want to take a snapshot of the current moment? Do they want to analyze the data? How deep do they need to go into the data? At the end, the human brain cannot process everything in one step. And if you want to understand the data, you need to understand how many layers would you need to go into there. You need to classify. Next step is to mock up. At the end, everything starts with a hand on paper, and if you jump straight into the dashboard without being experienced, without having an idea of you want to display, it's always better to draw a mock-up. Draw it on paper, draw it on PowerPoint, draw it on Microsoft Whiteboard where you can move things. It's quite different to what you have in mind as when you already display it and you realize, okay, that chart actually doesn't fit. That happens a lot with the charts that have multiple categories. You have something in mind, then you put it in a chart and you realize it has, instead of 2 categories, it has 10 and you don't see any data. So first mock up, then construct. So then you build everything into the dashboard, you create the data. You need to think about which data model do you have. Is it light data? Is it flat files? But this is another whole topic that I will not discuss today because that itself will need 5 hours to explain all the different possibilities. And then start with your entry page. The entry page is the first thing that the users will see, and it needs to be impactful. It needs to tell a message. It needs to be appropriate for the kind of company you work in. It needs to transmit the message to the company. The last step should be beautify. The space, clean the charts, align the titles, always make sure to have a consistency along your style. So it's nice to construct, but it's different to construct a dashboard that no one can read and to have a nice design that everyone would like to see. And there is a very important thing is never forget the 4I rule. That has been my experience from all the way from the clean, classify, mock-up, construct, beautify. Always have someone else to look the things with you. Especially when you work so much time in a dashboard, you get to one point to this blind spot where you don't see your mistakes anymore, where you don't see that the title is 1 millimeter left or 1 millimeter right, and it's always helpful to have this extra eye to tell you this a bit up, create a bit more space, especially in your company if you have some UX team or some graphic design team, that will be very helpful. So here I'm going to some bad examples and good examples about dashboards. The question is, what is bad about these ones, for example? You will see that they are using a lot of infographic that they are not needed. They want to complement the dashboard with more imagery, but it's not transmitting any message. They're trying to put everything on the same information, on the same chart, overloading. Probably the user will still need to go chart by chart to understand what's going on. We have also here a lot of different components that are transmitting messages. So there is a lot of things that you can do bad with the dashboards, but there are a lot of things that you can do good. For example, this is something that is clean. It tells you exactly what is going on. It lets you know the different things that has happened. They give you the insights. It also guides you along the dashboard without you having to make extra effort to understand. It guides you with questions. It guides you with colors, so you can immediately know, okay, is this good or is this bad? For example, you don't need to be super deep into analytics to understand that green is good or that red is bad. Also here, use different colors for different classifications. There are small tips that there is so much information online that it's good to see what you can do good or what you can do bad. Here are my next tip. Understand your audience. The first thing what I realized through the time that has helped me is to understand who my audience will be. Know that, for example, when you're creating a dashboard for a salesperson, it needs to be quite easy. Persons are not used to dealing with complex dashboard. They are not used to dealing with tree maps, with radar maps, with I don't know, plotter graphs. You need to keep it simple for them to understand. On the other side, if you're building a dashboard for an analyst, you want to give them the possibility to play around. Analysts, they will always rather have a bit more than a bit less. So you want for them to create more possibilities for them to do their proper analysis, or for a salesperson, you want to give them just the numbers. Right now, our biggest dashboard that our current project is one that only has a table. Why? Because when you need a table where you just need to see the information that's happening on the minute, you don't want to have to click 4 times to get the information. You want something where you refresh, you see your line, okay, that's inside, that's not. But you need to be quite clear which is the use case that you're using. For example, management. Management don't want complex dashboards either. They want to be able to see how the business is going in an easy way, probably better if it's in their phone that they can see it on the way to the meeting. Okay, what's going on today with my sales? Okay, they're good, they're bad, why? That's it. The next question, very important. What is their purpose with your dashboard? You want to tell a story, allow users to analyze, create a snapshot of the current situation. There's a lot of very nice dashboards nowadays that you also see on the news that they are created to tell a story. These are dashboards that are used to tell a story at one point. They're not created for you to play around every day. There are others that are used to analyze. This means they are dashboards where you put more dimensions, where you try to allow the users to play with the KPIs, to modify them. There are others where you create a snapshot, where you just put the KPIs that refresh automatic, but don't give the users possibility to play around. So think about before starting what is the purpose, what is their purpose with your dashboard. The next one of this is one is very important. What is their experience? These people that they are useful working with charts, complexity of the charts you display should be proportional to the experience analytical skill of your users. Never put something more complex than the users understand, otherwise they won't use your dashboard. They will find it pretty, but they won't use it. And finally, how often and where will they use your dashboard? This is a dashboard that they will use once per day, once per week, once per month. Create a design that will facilitate the understanding of the data in each of the cases. There is a dashboard that they will use once a day. You could think about doing a mobile version because that's something you will probably want to refresh every day. It's something that's once a month. You can consider building something more heavy where they can analyze different aspects. If it's something once per week, you might consider, okay, how can I provide the data in an easy way? So the most important thing from my experience is before getting hands-on, before getting all the tutorials, because if you want tutorials for SAP Analytics Cloud, there are thousands of them, very good, very described step by step. You don't need to think about me telling you now quickly, okay, do this, do that. They tell you exactly what you need to do in a very organized way. But before starting, think about who is your audience, what do they want with your dashboard. Is this people, most of the time business comes to you as a data analyst and they tell you build me a dashboard, but they don't even know what they want. In our experience at the company, now they come with idea and it's your responsibility as analysis team, reporting team to tell them, okay, I will suggest that we display it like this, like that, because that is the way that they will understand it the best. And at the end, they will say you, yes, that is exactly how I need it. You let business or someone without experience tells you what they want and how they want to see it, most of the time it will be something that is not like everyone imagines. So take your time in analyzing these steps and then suggesting a proposal. This is my personal tips for my experience, what I have done, what I have learned. The first one is create spaces. Always make easy for the people to read what you're writing to make it kind of minimalistic but powerful. The second one is know your charts. One of the biggest, most important things is having good charts to display and don't making silly mistakes that will stop your dashboard transmitting a good message because you choose the wrong chart. Number three, less is more. When the less information you have, in sometimes the more important is the message you transmit. Number four, guide your audience when needed. And number five, experiment. I will go step by step. Number one, create spaces. I took these examples from the internet from what I think is very good dashboard. You see here, this is something it's easy to understand. You can go through the different KPIs. There is a spaces. You understand exactly what's going on. You can see here the trend. You can see the other curve. You can see the map. Everything is clear and it's enjoyable to see. You want to play around, probably there are possibilities on this dashboard, but it's clean. It has a consistent design where you can see the different colors. It's everything consistent. All the KPIs here have the same the same size font. It's something enjoyable to see. If you see something where everything is crowded, where you don't have a space to read, it will be too. It will still transmit a message, but it won't look at nice. The second one, know your charts. Sometimes this is a good example of what happened with COVID. And you see this chart, of course, you can take your time. New cases confirmed. So here we have 13. The next time we have 8. The next 12. It's crowded. It's difficult to understand. And users will need to take time to know what happened from one day to the other one. A good example of what they propose of displaying the same chart is taking this. Here you can see exactly the new cases and the patient's discharge. Without making too much effort, you can see here the average daily of new cases, the average of discharge, and you can see, for example, that here you have very few new cases and a lot of them discharge. So you have to make very few effort, very little effort to understand the data, and that makes it even more powerful. Here, another example of what not to do. You never use a pie chart when you have a lot of dimensions. There is no way, especially if you're repeating colors, to understand what's happening and which one is the biggest one. Don't do this. Next example is one that is quite critical because especially when you're moving into dashboards, the idea of a table becomes kind of a taboo and sometimes you don't want to use a table, you just want to put everything in charts. Sometimes less is more. And here we see an example of the same information in two ways, on the chart and second on the table. Here it has so many colors, everything is so put together, you don't have labels, you have to make effort to see exactly on each case what's happening. This makes it very hard to read. It's better to use a table where you just display and it's easy for the users to read, for especially having these long names, this information in the table, it will take 2 minutes. There are cases it's not good to have very big tables and to replace Excel into Excel in the Cloud 2.0. Having a good combination between the possibility to go into a drill down, for example, per month with a table of the different components that are better in a table. For example, in our case, if we're using territory hierarchy, and the best way to display this on a table, because you can drill down, you can drill up. In the same way, if you have a hierarchy on a country or on the product line where you want to be able to quickly drill down, drill up, the easiest way that we have discovered is to use a table, because then you can have all the information available and it becomes quite clean in comparison. Number 4, guide your audience when needed. This was the first example what I show of a good graph. And this is a very good example. Here you're leading the audience to exactly the information you want to show them. Is my telemedicine program growing? He answers the questions that you want to know. And he's even giving you the answer you need. Your telemedicine program had a 25% increase in consult this month. You can use this as an automatic KPI, this one as a dynamic text, and you can exactly have the information to display the users what is happening. Same here. Is my telemedicine program efficient? So creating questions or creating text in specific points can help the user to understand what you're trying to transmit, especially if you don't have direct contact to them after releasing what you're trying to display. This is a very easy example. It's clean. The text is not taking the space over the charts, but is helping to make it easier. And the 5th one is my biggest advice is experiment. At the beginning, you need to be able to play around to understand what the tool is capable. SAC has a lot of great possibilities. You have different types of pages. You have responsive pages. You have canvas. You can also create spaces. It has a very, very, very good features, but it's also important when you're starting to play around. You need to understand what you're capable of, what you're not capable of, and then go into the trainings to go deeper. You don't experiment and you don't know what better fits the data you have, you will never know, and you will probably never go further than a bar chart or a stack chart. So that has been my experience. Yes, I don't know if there is any questions, David.
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect.
At the moment, remember for attendees that if you would like to send any question, please use the chat that we have in the YouTube channel, so we can forward it to Carolina and she will be happy to answer. Now I'm checking the chat and
Okay.
Okay, then.
And that will be it from my side.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Carolina. Thanks for volunteer and to be a speaker in our VCP Inside Track Barcelona online. As we have commented in some sessions before, we will have also the content available in our sitbarcelona.com site and also in our wiki. So you will be able to access the content and the recorded sessions. Okay. So I think we can close here this session.